said atomized earlier, Black Uru, and it ties back to what I was saying about kind of having no meaning and somewhat. So I'm going to describe something that really is a distinction without a difference, but I separate these just to make sense of the world for myself, which is like the knowing, angry, cold, calculated, insidious, and sinister Black feminist and feminists in general, and then the just bitter, angry sister that just want you to feel her pain, and she wants to relieve herself of pain. And the first is leading the second down a cliff. I don't think the second fully understands. They don't have foresight. Their anger and their sadness and their loneliness is so engulfing that they're advocating for things that in the long run ends up biting them in the rear end, right? So you advocate for, let's say, the T part of LGBTQ, and then when that person starts to beat your daughter in sports, you don't even understand that 10 and 15 years ago, when you were advocating for this, how you then end up in this situation, right? Where, to me, the architects of this, not the evil white man architect, but, a step or two under, they know that this is a possibility. As a matter of fact, they know that's exactly what's going to happen. And they push it anyway because they don't actually plan on being with men for the most part anyway, so they don't really care. They don't plan on... It's like torching a house because you don't have to live in it, right? I don't care because I'm not on no heterosexual stuff anyway. I don't mess with men. I might not even mess with Black women. I might mess with white women, right? Shout out to Alicia Garza, right? So, like, I don't really care how this ends because I've separated myself from this community, right? From this group of people. And I think that's what we see is that everyday sister that we're running into. She lacks the foresight, right? And even if she does, at the end of the day, all of this is going to end up in the same situation. I understand that. Whether they're the muhaha evil ones or the ones that's just angry as hell, we still have an issue. But for me, the muhaha ones, and especially, and Art, hopefully you don't have a problem. When I check out a certain content creator's channel, Mahogany Pink, I realize how educated that woman is. She's just the muhaha, angry, bitter sister. That's like, I want to, because I can't get what I want, or because I'm not happy with the way I look in the mirror or whatever the situation is, right? We don't know her in real life. I will scorch earth everything in this community, right? Because I'm not happy with my particular station in this scenario. And to me, I understand it's a distinction without a difference, but man, those, I don't know. I just couldn't go to sleep at night knowing that I'm leading brothers astray just because I'm angry at sisters. That's why I'm very...
It's not only that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge, I don't even have to watch her to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. You have a situation like we just talked about in the very beginning. There is a pecking order when it comes to the Black family. A lot of these divestors, they whether, change their attitude, their whole demeanor, just to make sure that this white man accept them. But they're not willing to do that for Black men, especially even if we're, of the whole status of having money and things like that. Now you have someone like this lady, to where I'm not in her head, but just listening to what she represents. Her imagining her being under the thumb or under some kind of rulership of a Black man makes her cringe.
I agree.
I'm quite sure it's the same for a lot of these women, and they're hearing us all the time. Well, not all the time, but they're hearing us quite often talk about, how a lot of Black men want families. And a lot of women are like, okay, you want families, but I'm not going to be under you. But at the same time, nobody else wants me. So I'm gonna take it out on these Black men because they, how dare they want to be masculine? How dare they want to be the leaders and providers? Can't they be less than us so we can have fun and do whatever we want to do without any kind of discipline? All that stuff is as a factor in why they do what they do. I'm quite sure there's more, But I don't do this for a living. But I could just see this. I could just really see what's going on without even listening to them for hours, because I already know it's ad nauseum.
It's true because and I'm tying all of this, all of what we're saying together. The young lady, when bell hooks passed, she posted bell hooks on her channel. When I listen to her channel, because sadomasochist, and this is what I do. Apparently she has a master's degree and a hard science, statistics, right? So this is not a social science. And no offense to the brothers and sisters that have degrees in social science, I'm not actually belittling you, but she has a degree in a hard science, right? Which means numbers, better. Tying that to a larger conversation, this is what makes this particular rhetoric in this particular advocation so dangerous. It's because a lot of these particular people, they what's the word I'm looking at? They go around the academic process because they know even the racist white people in academia would laugh them out the room if they would approach them with this black men are monsters and here's the false stats to prove it. They understand that if you're trying to go for your PhD, there is still a process you have to follow that at least has to come out semi-real, right? So what they do is they go all the way around that, and by creating YouTube videos that gets tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views, and essentially put out borderline academic essays that advocate and speak a certain way with facts out of context, stats out of context, completely false, some of them. And that way they still get that message out without having to go through the academic process, even if they themselves are academics, right? What makes that so dangerous is these are the people that you're working with, that you're shopping with. This is the sister that's tutoring you, right? This is
that you're sleeping with.
Yep.
Yeah.
That may be the mother of your children.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Or may have given birth to you.
That's why That's why this title is "Letting Society in Your Bedroom." We supposed to be getting together like Adam and Eve, right? In so many words, right? But instead, it's more like Adam and Condoleezza Rice.
That's funny art. That's funny art. If y'all don't know who Condoleezza is,
I think that what we got to do is disabuse ourselves of the notion that we're the same people. As painful as painful as that is to consider, that our approach has to be that we're all competitors, even amongst, and we as men, we understand and accept that we compete against each other. Mm-hmm. Sports, money, business, whatever social standing, we compete.
What's the crazy?
They're competing against you. They're competing against you, and they're willing to use every advantage by virtue of them having a vagina, Title IX, all that. They're very comfortable using that against you.
The crazy thing about that, Guru, is that, I'm thinking about Quincy Jones to even, what's his name, Sidney Poitier. Even though if we do take that stance and push them to the side as far as not going through a lot of separation type moves, there's going to be an element of us that's still going to give them opportunities and hook them up somehow. Whereas if it's on the other end, they're not doing that. I think that's the part that they're not understanding is that.
Well, look, I'm not saying that we should not. I'm not saying we shouldn't marry black women. We shouldn't love them. We shouldn't raise families with them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you have to remove, I believe, them ability to leverage the system against you. Look, when white men approved Title IX gave white women and black women and all women, but with respect to them, white women certain rights, certain privileges that white men did not have. that made Title IX made white women a separate group from white men, formally in the law. But that didn't stop white people from marrying, from making children together, from building businesses together, loving each other. It didn't stop them. It just gave some additional, mostly advantage against black men, ironic. You know, I would argue the reason for Title IX was to usurp what was rightfully due to black men. I think we all have comfortably reached that conclusion. So Title IX made white women separate from white men, but that didn't mean they couldn't still be white people together. I'm saying we need to create a Title IX for black men.
That's it. I
That's
mean,
what I'm
you know
saying.
what, Black Guru, we really need to have a panel based on that alone. Because I think people have, because I was thinking that, hey, you know, we're on this side, you're on that side, but I think you're breaking it more on policies and in other ways.
Yes, I'm not talking about black men abandoning black women. That's not what I'm saying at all. Look, I am a black husband. I have two adult black daughters. One of them is about to marry a black man. I'm as invested in black women as there is.
Right.
But it's clear to me that we have a system that actively, willfully, malevolently, and legally use black women against black men. That's clear. And I'm saying if we're going to do anything in this country, we got to try to find a way to formally neutralize their being able to do that.
And let me steal this from Tone Talks and Yvette. So what Black Uru is speaking about is flat blackness, right? And how black women are able to move. Oh, and we see it with BLM. BLM is the perfect example of what we're saying, which is there's the death of black men continuously, right? And you use their death as fuel for a separate movement, right? So their death is the face of the movement, but in reality, the funds and all the advocation is going to some rainbow flag stuff, right? So and I'm evolving on this also because it is very insidious what we actually witnessed. Where people, we all know where the funds are going now, right? It
don't even go to straight black women. That's the funniest part.
So we saw that with Tamir Rice's mom, right? That's what she was saying, right? And other parents of dead and slain young black boys and black men. So exactly like, and that's what makes this, what Black Uru's saying, even more paramount, because we're witnessing it. Right? And everybody's witnessing it. The death of straight black men being used as fuel for LGBTQ stuff, right? And like that's a perfect example of what we're saying, where these things were supposed to be primarily for black men, and white women took
it was
their
thing.
thing.
To me, when I listened to the promo for the Goldman Sachs thing, and they were citing what happened to Trayvon Martin and George Floyd as justification for giving $10 billion to black women. I'm like, it's shameless. It's not even, how do you put those together? But you can only put those together in the world of flat blackness, Mr. Z. That's how you put those together. They're all, quote, black people. So if we help black women, we're helping black people. Well, we know that's bullshit.
That's Supreme Court justice.
We're helping black people by putting a black woman on the Supreme Court who has a white husband. Yes, exactly. Black.
Oh man,
same thing with the vice president. We're helping black people by electing a black kid, who's again, of course, married to a white man. Well, that's how we're helping. That's how we're helping black men.
And this is why this is so important. What's really important is when you hear divestiture rhetoric, right? If we had trained this nation to see us because there's already sisters. I read this comment verbatim what I'm about to say, which is we're a different species than them. So they're already on that anyway, right? if this swirler and divester talk would have came about after black men made a distinction between ourselves and these particular people, then everybody would understand what's going on, and their anti-blackness would be even more crystal clear for everyone, because it wouldn't be, oh, this is just an in-party fight. No, 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 no. That's practically a separate group of people, and what they're saying is racist as hell. It's racist now, right? But because of this flat blackness, it's not seen as that. And that matters in the larger scheme of things when we talk about politically and socially where black people find themselves. If we were to make the distinction between black men and black women, then when this type of rhetoric comes out, everybody knows what that is, and we can call it for what it is, right? So, you know.
And you could take legal and judicial action against very obvious deceptions and lies and fraud. Look, when black people and white and black men and black women are separate legally or formally in policy, then you cannot use the death of black men to justify paying millions and billions of dollars to black women. That's a lawsuit. That's a class action suit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
and the brothers won't be shamed. I'm sorry.